For Neil and David, I was just chatting there about the difference between part-time and interim, but I want to come back to that. Could you just explain to us the sorts of the range, the kind of companies that you currently work for, so we'll get a sense of, because when I was talking to you a moment ago, I really was thinking of my own business, which is really me and 2 other associates, which is too small, I think. So what kind of companies are you, on average, are you working with?
We've got a whole range, Mike, and also a range of sectors. I think probably at the bottom end of the range, we've got companies turning over about £500,000. And at the top end, I think, David, you've got a company which is approaching 20 million?
25 million plus. So, I mean, each situation is different. You can be taken for a project, help a specific thing. The company will have resources, or, every company's needs are different,
Yeah. It's in different sectors. I mean, we've got companies which are in the travel industry, and the company I'm helping at the moment is in the care industry. It's a company which just owns 7 care homes, and it's a husband and wife owner have done a fantastic job of getting to a certain stage, but then in order to move on to the next stage, they just need a little bit more business experience, and so they've asked me to help in that area.
And it's a good point, measuring company size, because I mean, it's a strong, successful company. I mean, turnover isn't it. It's more around like what the profitability is, what the added value is, what the cash generation is. So some quite small companies are very strong entities indeed.
What about measuring them in terms of numbers of employees? So when you described the company with multi-million-pound turnover, I'm thinking, well, that's probably a company that's already got a well-formed board, and would they not have a finance director already?
Well, if they're a trading company, then they can have, like I said, they can have quite a big turnover, and you've got to look. I think a better read of a company's size is gross profit. It's how much added value is actually being made by the company. That can make a big difference.
And remember, Mike, the short answer as well is that some companies still don't fully understand what a finance director does.
Right.
They just regard them in the stereotypical way as being glorified bookkeepers. And part of what we're doing is just raising the bar and helping people understand that when you use somebody from FD4, that you're actually going to be making an investment in the future of the company, and like any investment, it will add value if you get it right.
Well, going back to that point that I did say that we were chatting about, the difference between this term interim and part-time, thinking about the kind of company that would be needing and wanting to recruit someone to look after finance in that way, i.e. as a planned operation, working with the board. Part-time kind of implies often somebody who's winding down. People do part-time work because they're winding down. And there's not a new term, but it's relatively new. I think lots of people I come across are now doing interim. And I must say finance, along with HR, is one of the very common interim roles that people play. And do you do interim as opposed to part-time? What would you?
It's a good question, Mike. There's actually a key difference between interim and part-time, and the short answer is no, we don't do interim. The way to think of interim finance directors is they're typically project-based, in that they're brought in to solve a problem, that there's typically a beginning, a middle, and an end, and then they move on.
Right.
We're totally different. We prefer to work with the company, we're more of a partnership with the company, and therefore typically we're working on the regular company matters. Of course, as David said earlier, there'll be certain instances when we come into a new client that there may be a specific project that needs to be sorted out first, but what we won't be doing is intending to spend typically, for example, on an interim assignment, they would be in for 6 months or 9 months or even 18 months. That's not what we're about.
Yeah, and an interim would have that particular focus, wouldn't they? Would have, as you say, a project, an issue that needs solving, and when it's solved, the interim's done his job.
It is. It's a beginning, it's a middle, and an end, and then they move on. Whereas we prefer to stay for the longer haul. We're more in a partnership with the company.
Yeah, I've got 2 clients I've been with for 3 years. So really it's a question of getting to know them, helping them, and helping them more efficiently as time goes by. But you're available for a project or a problem. You're available to help.